Good evening. It's 7 o'clock. We'll get started. First, I'd like to tell you that item 17, which is 6014 Snowshoe Court, has been postponed and will not be heard this evening. So if you're here for that item, we are not taking it up. So welcome to the Bloomfield Township Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for September the 12th, 2023. As a brief introduction, the Zoning Board of Appeals is a 7-member quasi-judicial body appointed by the Bloomfield Township Board of Trustees per the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. Matters pending before the Zoning Board of Appeals are decided on a case-by-case basis. Any appeal of a decision made by the Zoning Board of Appeals is subject to circuit court review. Each case will be called separately in the order shown on tonight's agenda. There will be an opportunity for public comment at one point during each case. All persons wishing to comment will be asked to provide their name and address at the podium. Address your comments to the board and not the applicant or other members of the public. Given the numbers of appeals tonight, please make your comments brief. Comments by the Neighborhood Association will be considered as part of the factual information presented to the board, but those comments are not the determining factor for approval or denial. Please confine your comments to the specific request before the board. For a request to be successful, an affirmative vote of at least 4 members present is required. We hope this helps provide a better understanding of what you can expect at tonight's meeting. So as a first agenda item, I'd like to take attendance.
So noted.
Okay, and then I would need a motion to approve the minutes from the August 8th meeting or a motion to amend them.
So moved.
So that's a motion to approve?
Yes.
The minutes and support. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The minutes are approved, so we will call the first item tonight, item 1T. And since this item is being recalled, Scott and I are not able to vote since we weren't here for the prior meeting. So is the applicant ready? So you can step to the podium, give us your name and address.
There's some right here, please.
Yeah, that's great.
My name is Abigail Kalmikian, and the address is 4467 South Willow Way.
So you want to summarize your request for us?
Yeah.
And maybe what's happened since the last meeting?
Yeah, so we worked with the city a little bit more to make sure that our picture and everything matched what was in the description, but we're looking for a fence for containment of dog. We're going to connect to our neighbor's fence. So I know that's the ordinance that we're doing here. And then we also we back up to Telegraph, so it's like we have 2 front yards. So that's the second ordinance here. And so on the northern side, we have a house that's currently being developed. But once we do put the fence in there, we are planning on putting similar trees and arborvitaes as what's on our south side. So the north side, we're going to put similar arborvitaes, maybe some Rosa Sharons too, cover up the fence. The fence that goes along the south side is actually covering their pool. So that will be 4.5 feet because that's the pool required fence height. Otherwise, we're having black aluminum all the way around. We've talked with both neighbors on both sides, and both of them are okay with it. Obviously, the one already has a fence around their pool, so they're no problem. And then the other one they're still developing the house, so. And then we have there where the gates are, so there's one that is connected to our driveway. That's the one in red. And then there's the 2 over on the south and then the north and then the northeast side that are the 6-foot fence or 6-foot gate and then the 4-foot one over on the side. But we are far enough away from the other neighbor, but we are not from the one that we're connecting to, of course.
So is this screening, has this been added since the last hearing? Is this new, or is this what was presented before?
This picture?
Yeah,
Yeah, this is from our fence company.
okay.
So this was not what we provided before.
Does anyone else have questions? I wasn't here before, so I don't want to ask too many questions. All right, then I'll open this to the public. Is anyone here like to comment on this agenda item?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
I'll close the public hearing then and bring it back to the board for discussion or a motion.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to the two requests for 4467 Willoway Estates Court South. First, the permission request. I will move that the permission request be approved as submitted. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate compliance with section 42-7.6 standards. The location of the accessory structure will not hinder or discourage the adjacent use of property due to its location or the utility for which it's being erected. With that having been said, I would also move that the dimensional variance, the location of the dog containment fence in the Telegraph secondary frontage, also be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate all of the standards for practical difficulty. Compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because we are going to be tying into an adjoining fence, and we do have the secondary frontage issue, which certainly is not self-created. We have heard in the past that we have the neighbors in support of this project. Circumstances are certainly unique with the secondary frontage with Telegraph, which is certainly not self-created. Should this motion be approved, application for all necessary permits must be made within 1 year, and permits must be obtained prior to installation. Additional evergreen screening as presented here must be planted and will exceed the height of the fence at the time of planting.
Support.
Motion and support, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Your request is granted. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Calling the next item, item number 11565 Cranbrook. You can state your name and address.
I'm Randy Hike with Action Fence. We're in 4300 Delamere Court, Royal Oak.
Okay.
My client is looking to replace an existing fence that is already on the property, but they had some work done in the backyard and the landscapers damaged the gate. So they were looking at fixing it, but the rest of the fence is in pretty rough shape, so we opted to try and replace it as it sits. Then we ran into the roadblock that it is non-compliant, or it's in a double front yard, as it were. So the double front yard being Corton, but if you've driven by it, you can't see this whatsoever from Corton, as there's a privacy fence on the Corton side and lots of trees. Now you can see it from the Cranbrook side. So that's our question.
Any questions from the board? I'll open this to the public for comment. Anyone here like to speak on this item?
Good evening, Kathy Weisenborn, representing Bloomfield Village Association. We did review this proposal. The fence is existing. It is required to have a fence for the pool, and we do support the granting of the permission for the fence and the variance to be in the Corton Road frontage. Our approval does require the fence to be screened from both Corton and from Cranbrook. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Anyone else that would like to speak on this item? All right, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a response.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Well, I just wanted to see if the
Oh, I'm so sorry.
applicant had any response.
I don't
about-
have any response
Okay.
whatsoever.
About the
Moving
screening?
things along here.
About the screen, I can't speak to my customer, but if they've already gone through the
Approval process?
approval process, I'm assuming that they know about the screening. I just knew that. I just found out I was coming here today.
You're just
so-
the fence guy. Got it. Okay. Very good.
They're out of the country, so I'm like,
All right,
gotta
got
go.
it. Sorry.
Okay, so, Mr. Chair, with regard to the appeal at 1565 North Cranbrook Road for the setback variance, I move the variance be approved as requested Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate all the standards for practical difficulty because compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome due to the corner lot. Additionally, there is no injustice to adjoining neighbors by reason of the fact that it will be screened from all public view from both streets. Unique circumstances with the property have been demonstrated given that this lot has multiple frontages and for the same reasons it's not self-created. If approved, the motion must include application for all necessary permits to be made within 1 year, and all permits must be obtained prior to construction. And as I stated earlier, along with Kathy Weisenborn, additional evergreen plantings may be required to screen the fence from public view and must meet or exceed the height of the fence at the time of planting.
Support.
A motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted.
I have a quick question. There is a double gate going in there because that's the only access in or out of the backyard. How is that to be screened?
That doesn't have to be screened. In the letter that Kathy wrote to your clients, it states there that in that section that, of course, that doesn't require screening due to the fact you have to have access to the yard.
Perfect. I don't have that letter, so
No problem.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, calling the next item.
Is it possible to turn the volume up a little bit? We can't hear in the back.
Turn the volume up.
Make sure. Hello, testing. Not everyone's mic is on because mine.
Closer to your.
Testing. Ooh, it's louder. All right, calling the next item. 1595 North Lawn. Item number 2. You could state your name and address and the reason for your request.
Hi there, I'm Jan Jaworski. This is my wife Kate and our architect Sal. We live at 1595 North Lawn Boulevard. And we are looking to fill in an existing deck that is adjacent to our kitchen and make it a like habitable like living area. The house was built in 1962, and for anyone that knows houses built in that era, they're small kitchens. So we're hoping to add a little bit of square footage to our kitchen. And then as a result, move the deck to right behind the garage. The construction will continue the lines of the house, so it should look very much in line with the architecture of the house. This is a picture of the deck there in the lower right. That's adjoined on the side of the house, and we're looking to fill that in.
It's a terrible view.
Any questions from the board? Thank you for that presentation.
Sure.
So I'll open this up.
I just had one quick question. So the deck is elevated, it looks like? Is that right? From like the course is down below?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. There won't be a structure like underneath it either. It'll just be that level.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board?
Not familiar with the property.
I'll open this up to the public. Anyone like to comment?
Oh, I forgot to mention, I have 3 letters from our neighbors that are joined us, and they're all signed.
They all live in Birmingham.
What's that?
They all live in Birmingham.
Well, yes, they do. That's okay.
This property
That's
is
okay.
special. Yeah.
There's valuable opinions in Birmingham. So I'm assuming no one would like to speak on this item, so I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion or motion.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
We're on a roll here. So with regard to the appeal at 1595 North Lawn, for the setback variance, I move the variance be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate all standards for practical difficulty because compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome due to the unique topography of the lot. There's no injustice to adjoining neighbors by reason that their closest neighbor is quite far away, seeing as how it's Birmingham Country Club. The unique circumstances of the property have been demonstrated given the sloping topography, and this is not self-created. So, if approved, the motion must include application for all necessary permits must be made within 1 year, and all permits must be obtained prior to construction.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted.
Thanks so much.
Do you get many golf balls in your?
do get some, actually,
Because
yeah.
I know that hole. That's a par 3, and you can pull.
5 to 6 a year, yeah.
You could pull a lot there. Sell the golf balls. You could make some money. All right, next item. Item 3, 1679 Forest Lane.
All right. I am Stephen Bonamy on behalf of the Johnston residents, 1679 Forest Lane. We are requesting approval for accessory use of a spa. The spa will be in the rear yard and immediately adjacent an existing sunroom. The backyard is large in size and contains existing vegetation along the perimeter of the property, which greatly shields the spa from view. In addition to the existing screening, new evergreen planting will surround the spa and will fully shield the view. The spa itself will be sunken into the patio with only roughly 24 inches above the patio height. Per the Township pool ordinance, there will be a pool-rated fence surrounding the spa in which we intend to integrate landscaping to maintain a natural appearance. We feel there's no objection based on the standard conditions of the ordinance. We are simply asking for permission for the use of the accessory item. Can you answer any questions?
Any questions from the board? So is that screening going to be the height of the spa there? It looks like it might be a little bit below the level of the spa, so.
The screening that we have immediately there's already actually evergreen screening along the side of the driveway. So you really have to be in the yard to see all the way around the spa.
Okay.
The backyard of this property is uniquely screened.
So you can see there, like the house and the, I don't have a.
There's a pointer.
These are like 8-foot arborvitae right here.
Okay.
So you have to be in the yard all the way around. So from their bedroom windows up there, you may be able to see.
Got it. So I'll open this up to the public. Anyone like to comment on this item? Close the public hearing. Bring it back to the board.
I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve the permission request in regards to the appeal at 1679 Forest Lane for a swim spa. I move that the request be approved as submitted. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate compliance with Section 42-7.6 standards because the location of the accessory structure will not hinder or discourage the adjacent use of the property due to the fact that it is in the rear, it is properly screened, and it is also sunken in. With that, if approved, the motion also includes application for all necessary permits must be made within 1 year, and permits must be obtained prior to construction. I don't necessarily think additional evergreen plantings, but I'll put that in there just in case, may be required to screen the swim spa from public view and must meet or exceed the height of the swim spa at the time of planting.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted.
Thank you.
Calling item 4, 2732 Turtle Shores.
Hi, my name is Ajit Randava. So we are building a new home at that site.
And you're the property owner, your address?
My wife, it's under her name, but I'm, we're together.
Okay, you're the...
She's not here.
You're representing your wife
I'm
then?
representing my wife,
Okay.
Yes. It's usually the other way around. So what we try to do is, if you see that green line, for some reason that fence was in our property. So we're taking the fence back to straight along the hill crest. Let's make a right turn right there along the red line. There's a small asphalt driveway from the previous, I think 30 years ago. So we need to, saw cut it, take down all those dying trees, plant a lot of new trees there. We're planning to plant up 50 trees, the whole property actually. So that's all we're trying to get here. Regrade it a little bit, and that's it.
Any questions from the board?
So this area is really focused in the back corner.
Yes, that between that red
Right.
corner and that green zigzag drawn line. I just drew it today with, I was talking to Andrea Baby.
Looks like a nice improvement.
Yeah.
And so when I discussed with the staff this morning, we were talking about where the property line is. So where is the property line?
The red line depicts the property line.
Okay.
So all the improvements are being shown are in green. So that is the existing fence line is the green line, and then there's also a dash line, which is the proposed.
I think the green line is the proposed patio.
No, the green line is existing fence right now there.
Oh, okay.
So we are pushing it to that red corner line along the straight, along the Hillcrest Drive.
So then where's the property line? So red is the fence?
Red is the property line, actually.
Red is the property line,
Yeah.
okay.
Property line.
So that asphalt driveway you see, that's in our property.
Got it. All right,
Used to be rear access to the...
Makes sense. Got it.
Before Johnson bought it.
so
Will-
I will, do you have a question?
Will it be screened on the side that's along Hillcrest?
Yes, it'll be a lot of trees.
Okay.
Right now, it's all empty. We took down all the trees to build it.
Okay, thank you.
We had a lot
They're going to
of-
be on the outside of the fence.
It'll be outside of the fence and some inside too.
Okay.
In our property too, of course. And the fence will be exactly like, this horse stable kind of fence they have in Turtle Lake.
So I'll open this up to the public. Anyone would like to comment on this item? Sure, you can step to the podium, state your name and address.
Good question.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Robert Rollinger. I'm an attorney, and I've been retained by Mr. Michael Garzoni and his wife Leslie Logan to appear on their behalf this evening before the ZBA for this matter. The applicants are requesting the Zoning Board of Appeals allow an existing fence shown on their drawing in solid red inside of what they call their property to the solid green line representing the existing fence. According to the applicants, their property corner is shown with a black line just inside the green corner line is shown. Also, the asphalt road section for Hillcrest Drive is also identified on their drawing. The applicants appear to want to remove this section of Hillcrest Drive and allow them to fill in the area to create a berm of the same height as an adjacent berm. They state that they intend to plant a lot of evergreen trees. They don't identify the number, the height, or species. They are ignoring, however, also certain basic facts and circumstances which we think require the ZBA to deny the request. The section of Hillcrest Drive that remains includes a portion of Hillcrest Drive intended to be used by public vehicles, private contractors who enter Hillcrest Drive either intentionally or unintentionally. The section of Hillcrest Drive has been used by Bloomfield Township employees and service personnel. It is used by service providers including UPS, Amazon, as well as garbage truck haulers and removal companies. It's used during the winter snow months for public and private snowplow users who remove snow from this section of Hillcrest Drive for safe passage, entry, and exit. It's also used by private garbage disposal and public garbage disposal haulers. They are in no position because of the size of the vehicles to be able to back up from Hillcrest Drive onto Square Lake Road without endangering public travel on and along Square Lake Road, either westbound or eastbound, let alone operators of the garbage haulers and private service contractors and delivery personnel. In addition, there was formerly a house located at this location where there is currently a turnaround which has existed on the site since 2004. The driveway access was left intact to function as a turnaround for motor vehicles. This was a compromise reached with both the Turtle Lake development as well as Bloomfield Township at that time. It would have otherwise been altered to become a T intersection to allow for ingress and egress at the end of Hillcrest Drive. In 2006, the white fence, which is now there, was installed. In addition, Bloomfield Township installed a no parking sign at that location. It was recently, unfortunately, knocked down by a garbage truck and has not yet been replaced. The Turtle Lake Homeowners Association has undertaken to repair the white fence on several occasions, repainting the fence approximately 4 or 5 years ago. The property owners have maintained the lawn and grass area south of the turnaround, with the Homeowners Association cutting the grass on the north side of the turnaround. What is important here to recognize is that the propriety of the owners of the Hillcrest Drive parcel of land for ingress and egress over the remaining portion of platted Hillcrest Drive. These are substantive property rights which have been in existence for a period which exceeds 25 years, including what has now become a turnaround for ingress and egress from Hillcrest Drive onto Square Lake Road. These are public roads because Hillcrest Drive was part of a subdivision plat. Its essential nature, according to the dedication of the plat, cannot be unilaterally altered either by the applicant, property owners in the Turtle Lake development, nor by Turtle Lake development itself. These dedicated easement rights have been a final and unchangeable and have been in existence absent a legal proceeding aimed at altering the substantive property rights granted by the dedicated easement. Mr. Garzoni and Ms. Logan will, if necessary, do what they need to do to preserve and protect the legal rights of their dedicated easement over Hillcrest Drive. If it is the applicant's desire on their own property and not on property beyond the boundaries of their condominium development, which is not a plat, to erect a screening area or berm, this cannot occur, nor can it be allowed to occur on property which is beyond the boundaries of their condominium development. If they wish to attempt to assert property rights in property beyond the boundaries of their condominium development, the avenue to do so is through a judicial proceeding, not by seeking a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals. In such an instance, then my clients would be prepared to be involved as a party in any legal proceeding in circuit court. Because my clients have demonstrated the continual use of this as a platted public easement, they are in no position to allow an interference or impediment or encroachment over publicly dedicated land. Under Michigan law, to grant a non-use variance, a ZBA must find that there is practical difficulty that exists. A practical difficulty to grant a variance must demonstrate that a land use or the structure or addition that would not otherwise be permitted under the ordinance is to be allowed. It, in effect, seeks to allow a use, a structure, or alteration which would not otherwise be permitted under the zoning ordinance. This board must recognize and adhere to a strict application of the zoning ordinance as enacted by Bloomfield Township. In the Court of Appeals decision, National Boat Land versus City of Farmington Hills, the court did create a practical difficulty standard, which we do not believe exists in this case, because this is property which is part of a subdivision plat. It is governed by what is now called the Land Division Act, formerly Subdivision Control Act of 1967. Under this act, to amend, change, modify, or vacate any portion of a subdivision plat, and this is the Square Lake Country Club subdivision plat, which has been in existence since, I believe, 1925. Hillcrest Drive is part of that. A property owner who's seeking to change the dimensions would have to seek relief in the Oakland County Circuit Court and obtain a court order from that court. This is not a procedure which is recognized as the ability to alter through seeking the use of a variance being granted or denied by a zoning board of appeals. What the applicants would have to do, we believe, is defined by the Land Division Act requirements, which grants jurisdiction to the circuit courts to make such a decision. My clients are requesting the Zoning Board of Appeals to recognize the limitation on what a ZBA can and cannot do as far as granting a use variance, a non-use variance, and find that the only manner of seeking relief in this case would be through a circuit court proceeding, if that is what the applicant seeks to do, because otherwise they are interfering with an existing platted public road, the dimensions of which have been set by the creation of the plat, which has been around since 1925. Thank you.
So Mr. Rellinger, I want to make sure I understand what you're saying. Are you saying the plat So where, I mean, do you have a pointer? Where does the plat show that the border of Hillcrest Drive?
There's a pointer right there that you can use.
And I don't have the plat.
You just gotta hold down the green button and aim.
Yep.
There's a button that you just press in.
It's on the other side, I'm sorry.
The purpose of the pointer is for you to be there and it to be there.
I apologize.
That's fine.
Sorry about that.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Henry, you were asking me?
Where is the boundary of Hillcrest Drive on the plat?
It would be somewhere around where this green line is, I believe, and would go out to Square Lake Road. So if there is going to be an alteration in the boundaries of Hillcrest Drive as platted and approved, it would have to be something which is acted upon as part of the Land Division Act.
So Patty, can you put that up on the?
Sure.
So is that the plat? So it looks, or at least looks like we've got the lots there, and there's Hillcrest Drive, which is quite a bit different than the line that you just drew. So you're,
I'm saying, okay, you're,
so Hillcrest Drive is 40 feet wide,
yeah.
so,
And it doesn't look like it includes a spur?
Right.
yeah, that's what I thought. That spur was part of a driveway into the property.
Well, there's, yeah, part of Hillcrest Drive
Yeah.
was realigned when Square Lake Road was realigned.
Do we have any recorded documents?
So hold on, you'll get a chance to respond.
So we believe, number one, based on the plat, number two, based on continuous, consistent use beyond the boundaries of the platted roadway by public users, by Bloomfield Township.
So you're going to claim some sort of adverse possession?
Beyond those boundaries,
Okay.
which we can establish at least going back to the year 2000, certainly.
Any other questions from the board? Okay. Thanks very much. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak on this item?
What to say?
So,
Here you go, sir. I mean, I guess I just have a question. You know, it's been a while since I took property law, but is there a recorded easement? No?
We have to utilize the information that we both get from the applicant and then the records we have in the township. The records that we have that we utilize as part of our PowerPoint are documents that we receive and descriptions we receive from Oakland County. So if there is a property dispute, that'll be a civil matter between the property owners. We will recognize a survey, a sealed survey as part of any documentation, as part of permitting. So the board could elect, if you wanted to act on the request, that it would be subject to verification of property ownership based on your certification of the survey. Or you could elect to postpone consideration and have a determination made and have this returned back to you.
so you can sit down.
Oh,
Yep, thank
So
you.
we're suggesting that you utilize the information that's been presented before you, and if should there be any additional information that's contrary to what you're acting upon, then it would have to come back to the board.
So did you want to respond to Mr.?
Yeah, so I checked with the Turtle Lake Association. They don't have any record, any addendum to the master deed, or these guys, they don't have any recorded a legal document
Yeah.
per se. So I don't know what their claim is.
Well, it sounds like he's going to file litigation for adverse possession
Yes,
through
I mean-
use or whatever, but there's no, at least, I don't know, you had a copy, that was,
Copy was provided by Turtle Lake Association when we purchased.
yeah.
So, and that survey clearly states it's in our property.
Yeah, so I think we could make the motion conditioned on
And the
verification
Hillcrest
survey. 'cause we
Drive,
talk-
they talk about turning vehicles. I have never seen vehicle turning. They can come down all the way and turn it from their driveway.
The plat wouldn't look like that anyway, the plat would, that was so.
So this is how it looked like. It just,
Yes, I think they'd have a hard time showing that, so.
yeah.
So I think we could put that as a condition to verify, because it talked about with the staff, would be my suggestion, because I think there's enough information in our packet and what we've seen tonight.
And then when I checked with Mr. Burkholder, Wade was his name, who used to work
Yes.
here. So he checked all documents with the
Yeah.
township. He did not find anything which is recorded.
Yes. Yeah, so he's claiming sort of rights granted by any recorded instrument. It's by use that they're
And then
trying-
this needs our approval because it's in a secondary frontage? Is that right?
That's my understanding.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I'm prepared to make a motion if no one else has any other comments. Okay, so with regard to the appeal at 2732 Turtle Shores Drive for the variance here for the fence, I move that it be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate all the standards for practical difficulty because compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because of the corner lot and the fact that it has two frontages. There is no injustice to the adjoining neighbors by reason of the fact that the fence will have to be screened from public view. Unique circumstances with the property have been demonstrated again, given the fact that it's on the corner of Square Lake and Hillcrest, and it is not self-created due to the reasons stated above. I'm just going to add here that all necessary permits should be made within 1 year and should be obtained prior to construction. And as I stated before, evergreen plantings will be required to screen the fence from public view, and the plantings will have to meet or exceed the height of the fence at the time that you plant them. And I'm also going to condition our approval, and I don't know, Patty, maybe help me here with the language,
Well,
but
verification of the survey and the placement of the fencing on the private property.
yes, okay, great. So I think Andrea got that from Patty, and that will conclude my motion.
Support.
I motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted. Your wife will be very happy.
Thank you. All right, thanks a lot.
So item number 5, 7320 Wing Lake Road.
Yeah, my name is Larry Jacob. I'm trying to put a shed up in the backyard and seeing if we can get approval for it. The homeowners association was okay with it.
And then pool equipment? Do you have some?
Lawn equipment, because I cut my own lawn. Patio furniture in the winter, just storage.
Did you remove the pool equipment?
The pool equipment's on the side of the house.
We have a notation that it was located inside the shed. Is that no longer the case?
The pool equipment?
Yes.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, so it's just a
Sorry.
storage shed?
Yes.
Okay.
Shed. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Open this to the public. Anyone like to comment on this item?
Larry's my neighbor.
So you'd need to come to the podium and state your
doing?
name and address.
Vinny. I'm Vinny Anton. I live on 7251 Holiday Drive. His house is directly behind mine. I don't have an issue with the shed. He plans on putting up a ton of trees. You're not even going to see it. So.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak? Okay.
Herman Eichner, I'm at 7221 Holiday Drive, next to Vinnie's home. I'm in direct view of that particular corner of the parcel. I have no problem with this request.
Thank you very much. Anyone else that would like to speak? So I'll close the public hearing. I don't know that there's any need to respond to those positive
Thank you guys
comments.
very much.
So any discussion for the board or a motion?
I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve the permission request in regards to the appeal at 7320 Wing Lake Road for a shed. I move that the request be approved as submitted. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate compliance with Section 42-7.6 standards because the use of accessory structure is appropriate for the neighborhood, as this is a shed is a very common thing to have in the neighborhood to store all kinds of things, lawn equipment in this particular case. And it will not hinder or discourage the adjacent use of the property due to support from adjacent neighbors, and it will be properly screened. With that, the motion also includes application for all necessary permits must be made within 1 year, and all permits must be obtained prior to construction. And as the applicant stated, additional evergreen plantings may be required to screen the shed from public view and must meet or exceed the height of the shed at the time of planting.
Support. Motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So calling item 6, which would be 3715 Burning Tree.
Good evening, Board of Appeals. My request is for the fence that we put just around our house to shield the air conditioning units and storage equipment, as well as a dog run. So I don't know if you have a picture of it. Okay. So the fence that we're talking about is behind the home. It's about 6 feet outside of the house. And there's a dog run on the right-hand side in the bottom right picture. There's a dog run on the right-hand side, and the fence is just under the balcony, and we use it for storage as well as air conditioning units.
So this fence has multiple purposes. It's screening, it's for the dog, and it connects to the house, is that
Yes.
right? So
Yep.
so the dog can, exit your house and then
Yes,
use the area.
there's a dog
Okay.
door there.
Okay. Any other questions from the board?
Was there a reason why it was 6 feet?
Yes, because we didn't want all of the equipment and everything to show, so that was the height I liked.
I'll open this up to the public. Anyone here that'd like to comment on this item? Close the public hearing, bring it back to the board. Because it's up against,
It's 6 feet away from the house.
That was going to be if this was 6 foot at the property line, it'd be a separate issue.
Yeah.
But when it's this tight to the house and it's in the rear yard, I'm not certain, but it's
it'd be indistinguishable from,
driving
a
by.
wall.
Yeah. Just
And nobody in your backyard, like a neighbor from the back, can they see it?
Everything is shielded, so we've got a line of trees behind our house and shrubs on both sides of the house.
So there's no public view of it?
You can see it from the side of the house at the top of the driveway.
But that's while you're on your property?
Yes.
Okay.
all right. Did you do public hearing?
I did do public hearing? I'll do it again. Is anyone on here that would like to speak on this item? Close the public hearing, bring it back to the board.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to the two requests at 3715 Burning Tree, the dimensional variance request and permission request, I'm going to take the permission request first and move that it be approved as submitted based on the information presented. The applicant did demonstrate compliance with Section 42-7.6 standards. Location of the accessory structure will not hinder or discourage the adjacent use of property due to its size or its location. I would then go further to move that the dimensional variance also be approved as submitted. The applicant did demonstrate all of the standards for practical difficulty. Compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome, and in fact would allow some of the equipment that they're trying to shield from public view to be seen. There is no injustice to the adjoining neighbors by reason of its location. It is adjacent to the house, and at a glance would appear to be part of the house. Unique circumstances of the property have been demonstrated given the use that's been proposed, and the issue is not self-created. It's again, because of its location and the attempt to shield from public view certain mechanicals and other items is very appropriate. In the event this motion is approved, application for all necessary permits must be made within 5 business days for the existing fence. Additional evergreen screening, in this instance, I don't believe is necessary because I don't believe there's any public view. I would ask the applicant to, in the future, come into the township for approvals.
We will do that. We apologize.
So a motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted.
Thank you.
Calling item 7, 3345 Chickering.
Hi, my name is Daniel Wiederschain, a resident of 3345 Chickering Lane. And first of all, I'd like to apologize that the structure is an existing shed structure. We thought we did sufficient due diligence, but apparently we should now trust internet, and where it was stated that the shed is not, smaller sheds are not considered as permanent structure and doesn't require an approval. Lesson learned, so here I am asking for the permission to keep the structure. It was specifically placed on the side of the house, so it's out of the view. You cannot see it from the front of the house because where the shed is positioned, it's below the street level. So you cannot see it from the front, and it's also partially shielded by the greenery, so you cannot really see it from the back. If it was placed in the back, then 2 or 3 neighbors could potentially see it, and it would be more visible. Again, and there is no pathway and there is no seating area of the neighbor on the south side of the house, so it doesn't seem like it's would be unappealing. It was chosen specifically to match the color scheme of the house and the design, so just to be more appealing to neighbors. So.
And then what about the wood burning? Do you have a fire pit?
Yes, there is a brick pavers fire pit that I'm seeking permission to.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? I'll open this up to the public. If you'd like to comment? So you could step away. We have a public comment. If you could state your name and address.
I'm Celia Lipsky, 3020 Chickering Lane, the Vice President of the Association. It was not given to the association. It is on the south side. I am getting complaints from the neighbors. We don't have a problem with this shed. We would like it in the backyard. It is seen by at least 7 homes at the end of the block. And it is a nice shed, but we would appreciate it if it is in the rear of the yard. We do have other neighbors that have sheds that are also in the rear of the yard and also screen. We do know that he's put a lot of money into that shed and into the patio, and we do not have a problem with the fireplace.
So what if it was screened in its current location?
If you allow one neighbor to break the rule of your township rule, you're going to allow a lot more neighbors to break your rule. It is on the south side of the wall, and it's up to you, but it is your ordinance.
Yeah, so we require screening, so that's why I was just asking if it was screened.
But your ordinance also says a shed is in the rear of the yard, not in view of the neighbors.
Oh, but if it's screened, it's not in
Yeah.
view.
Okay, thank you for your feedback.
Good evening. Roy Anania, 3200 Chickering, President of the association. It is true it wasn't brought to the association, but then again, it was built in conjunction with the building. For me, if you put it in the back of the house, that's a lakefront. So it's, you know, everybody on the lake can see it. South side, it's down in a gully. I mean, you have to look for it to see it. If you put a couple arborvitaes in the front, I mean, it's gone. So, I mean, it's built in a way that blends in with the house. I'm happy with it.
So, wait a minute, so you said you're the president of the association, but you're speaking on your own behalf, not on behalf of the association?
Right, nobody's here speaking on behalf of the
Okay.
association.
Okay,
Okay,
all right, very good.
thanks.
Thanks for your... Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this item? Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing. Bring it back to the applicant. You can come back up now. So what about, would you be amenable to putting some screening up?
Yeah, I would gladly put a couple of arborvitaes on the front to hide it from the road view. Again, it's not that visible from the road view. It's just sitting below street level. But if this was required, I will do it.
Yeah, so it's supposed to be screened from public view, so that would be,
Your neighbors and...
yeah, your neighbors.
This picture is from my yard, not from the street. So I'm standing specifically to take a picture of the shed, not...
Yeah.
Well, we had comments that there were neighbors that thought it was visible, so I was just trying to...
I'm going to make an observation. If you look at the house is visible, and I dare you to determine that it's that different, distinguishably different from the house. If it was freestanding in the middle of the backyard, it would be obvious. It would be notorious, as a matter of fact. In this instance, it
does look part of the structure.
It looks like it's part of the building.
And-
Same color.
Because you know it's not.
Yeah.
Do you know it's not?
But also, I'm just curious, because it looks like it's very sloping. So just from personal experience, planting on a slope usually is not very successful, especially for arborvitaes. So do you have a different view of that side, or is that the only picture you have?
No, I provided several pictures.
Well, I'm just trying to see how sloping is it?
It's pretty steep. Again,
What's
the
going
shed
down?
is sitting below the street level.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Do you have another view of it?
It's for the screening. So I'm gonna be able to
We're going to see if we have another piece.
Notorious. It's the first time I've heard a shed called notorious.
Does it have to be open and notorious? Yeah. One of the terms.
Oh, I love the word notorious. It's great.
I don't have a picture from the neighbor's property.
Okay. All right, so I guess it is. So thank you for your comments. Any discussion or motion?
Well, would the shed or the structure be screened from street view based upon that it's below grade?
It's behind the house.
That's the house behind it. Attached. Maybe you could answer that. The grade, it's below grade by how many feet? Does any
I
part
would
of
say
it?
the roof of the shed is in line with the street level, but again, it's hidden by the flower bed that you see right here in the corner that's protruding beyond the shed. So if you're standing in front of the house, you can't see the shed.
Okay, I mean, obviously you took that picture to catch, to
The shed.
take the shed.
Yeah, specifically,
I
you're right.
mean-
There's another picture right here. Well,
I'm caught between just throw some arborvitae to make them happy. It's pretty low.
To your point, if we can pull off the arborvitae, I don't
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Heck, at the elevation, some simple boxwood would work.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I'll let you take that one.
Okay.
Well, go ahead.
Give it
Somebody
a
wanted to?
wing.
By all
We
means,
can discuss
please.
it. So put something on the floor that we can discuss.
All right, I'm going to
Thank
go
you.
for a motion. I'm going to start with the permission request first. I move, regards to the appeal at 3345 Chickering Lane, for the accessory structure of an existing wood-burning fire pit as well as shed. I move that the request be approved as submitted. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate compliance with Section 42-7.6 standards because the use of accessory structure is appropriate for the neighborhood, as, again, sheds are very customary for the neighborhood, as well as fire pits. In terms of the dimensional variance for the existing shed, which is in the southerly side yard, I also move that that request be approved. As requested, based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate all standards for practical difficulty because compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because of the severe topography of the lot, as well as, I'm sorry, there's no injustice to the adjoining neighbors because it is sunken. It is screened from public view from the street side, as well as, I believe, being on the side as well as attached to the home. It looks like it is part of the structure, and to move it to the rear may be actually more burdensome to adjoining neighbors, being that that is the lakeside. Unique circumstances of the property, again, having sloping topography as well as the existing floor plan. And because of that, it is not self-created. With all of that said, if approved, the motion also includes application for necessary permits must be made within 5 business days for the existing wood-burning fire pit and shed. Additional evergreen plantings may be required if appropriate and feasible for the existing shed from public view. So I am asking the applicant to look at it from all angles and see if there's any other ways that could possibly screen it to make it more palatable for adjacent neighbors.
Support.
So I have a motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted.
Thank you.
Calling the next item, item 8, 5605 Kenmore.
I'm Stephen Bonamy on behalf of the Haddad residents, 5605 Kenmore Road. We are requesting approval for an accessory structure use of a cabana and to relocate a previously approved sport court in the rear yard. The owner purchased the property with the house under construction. Due to time and other limitations, the house plans were maintained. The proposed cabana will provide a bathroom and entertaining area while the family utilizes the pool, which otherwise would have to go through the living rooms and other areas in the house not intended to be considered wet spaces. The proposed cabana is in a location of the previously approved sport court. This area provides good access for the occupants and has no exposure to neighboring properties. The new location of the sport court is just south of the pool, will be non-illuminated, and will have the 6-foot mesh netting that was previously approved. There is currently 12 to 14-foot evergreens around the perimeter of the property, with more extensive landscaping to follow, which will ensure both the court and cabana will be tastefully screened. We feel there is no objections based on the standard conditions of the ordinance, and we are simply asking for permission for the use of the accessory items. Can answer any questions.
Any questions from the board? I'll open this for public comment. Anyone would like to speak on this item? Close public comment, bring it back to the board.
I can make a motion.
Great, thank you.
So with regard to the permission request at 5605 Kenmore Road, the fireplace and the sports court, I'm going to move that they both be approved as submitted. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate compliance with Section 42-7.6 standards because the location of the accessory structure will not hinder or discourage the adjacent use of property due to the fact that it is within the setbacks and is going to be screened 12 months out of the year with evergreens. And I will add to that, all necessary permits should be made within 1 year and obtained prior to construction. And as I stated earlier, evergreen plantings will be required to screen both the hot tub and the sports court 12 months out of the year and should meet or exceed the height of those at the time of planting.
Support.
I have a motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is
Thank you.
granted. Calling item 9, 5746 Sutter's Lane.
Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Sack. This is my husband, Robert Sack. We live at 5746 Sutter's Lane in Bloomfield Hills. During a snowstorm in April 2022, a large tree fell onto our house and existing fence, which were all repaired as part of our insurance. We were sure to work with our contractor to assure that the fence was the same as it was before, prior to the storm. The work on the fence was completed in November 2022 by Belfour. We have documented photos which show the existing fence and the damaged fence, which we believe to have been there for years prior. With letters provided by our neighbors, it looks like they have been in that home next to us for over 20 years, and they said before they were there, they knew that the fence had existed as well. So the picture on the right there shows what the repaired fence is. It's on the side, we live on a corner of Hedgewood and Sutter's Lane, so we have high traffic that comes around the corner there. So the fence is repaired as it was prior.
Any questions from the board? So I'll open this to the public. Anyone like to comment on this item? Close public comment, bring it back to the board. So this, you had a privacy fence that was that height.
Yes.
Even though, because my understanding is it's really not screened on the other side. The neighbor has no concern with that because it's just replacing something that was already there, and it provides a benefit to them as well as to you.
Correct. That's on the corner. Since we're on that corner lot there's only 5 panels, so that's the only portion of the fence for our backyard. It does not go around the perimeter of the backyard.
Any other questions from the board? Motion time? Ready for a motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
Open public hearing?
He did.
Oh, okay.
Yep, I did, yep. I do it so fast, I'm sorry. Like quick draw.
They're a quiet
So
group.
for
Quick
this,
draw.
They're a quiet group.
Yeah.
They're enjoying the popcorn.
I'm going to make a motion to approve a dimensional variance with regard to the appeal at 5746 Sutter's Lane for the dimensional variance for the setback variance, it's a height variance. I move the variance be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate all standards for practical difficulty because compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome due to the corner lot. There's no injustice to adjoining neighbors by reason that this is consistent with other homes in the area and that it is actually a replacement. Unique circumstances with the property have been demonstrated given the existing fence was in the same location and it's not self-created due to the fact that it is currently it is truly a replacement. So if approved, the motion must include application for all necessary permits to be made within 5 business days for this existing 6-foot fence. Additional evergreen plantings may be required to screen the existing fence from public view. And if denied, the motion must include the existing fence to be removed within 30 days, but I hope that's not the case.
We're not denying it. Okay, I support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted.
Thank you.
Calling item 10, 925 East Long Lake.
Good evening. My name is Wade Sana, and I'm the owner of 925 East Long Lake. First of all, I'd like to apologize for doing a sports court without checking with the ordinance of the city. I think I did it on late fall of 19, and then after I found out, I contacted the building department. I spoke to Mr. George Kilpatrick, and I think he told me the ordinance has changed either, don't hold me to this, I think it's 20 or 21 for the sport court to be in the front. So I'm here to see if I can do anything just to keep it, or if there's any, I know there's a lot of high trees in the front, and I also own the property next door too. So
can we have an area? I'll help you out here a little bit because I looked at this quite. So if you look at where So the sports court is in the southwest corner, right?
Yes, right where
Very
the
far
red
southwest
dots,
corner.
yes.
So he's on East Long Lake. If you look at the distance between that corner and his neighbor, who's at 909, that's a pretty healthy distance. East Long Lake is fairly busy. So as unusual as this is, it may end up being the best spot, just if you look at all of the different, and there's no net around the court, is that right?
No, it's just, there's a lot of trees, like high trees. And
It's comprised of a concrete slab and a single basketball hoop.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, just for the record, I own 909 too. That's my property too.
So did you talk to 909 about this? What did he say?
We're fighting in court.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my.
Oh, I've seen everything.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, well that's a really big factor, so.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Did you get a letter of support from 909? Okay. All kidding aside, I'll open the public.
Refused to show up.
Yeah, I'll open this up to the public.
Oh my gosh.
My name's Ron Denowith, and I live at 3400 Green Tree, just out around the pond. And I think the home is a beautiful addition to our neighborhood. And frankly, had I not seen this today, I wouldn't even have known he had a sports court there. And I think he's done a beautiful job of screening it. He's a great neighbor, and it's a beautiful house. So
And aren't you an old basketball player?
I am an old.
Okay, all right. You go and play horse with the two guys. Okay.
Too old, but I'm in support.
Okay, thank you, Ron. Anyone else would like to speak? All right, so I'll close the public hearing. We're back to the board. This is, what an unusual set of facts here. We have the former basketball player in support, and we have the neighbor in support.
So,
And I'm a soccer player. I'm not even a basketball player.
Oh, okay.
no, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to the request for dimensional variance and permission request at 925 East Long Lake Road, I would move the permission request be approved as submitted based on the information presented. The applicant has demonstrated compliance with Section 42-7.6 standards. Location of the accessory structure will not hinder or discourage the adjacent use of property due to its location and its use, despite the complaints from the neighbor next door. And I would go on to move that the dimensional variance also be approved as requested based on the information presented. The applicant demonstrate all of the standards for practical difficulties. Compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because it in fact provides the simplest place to place this and minimizes the impact on the surrounding neighbors, which then goes on to create no injustice for those adjoining neighbors. Unique circumstances of the property have been demonstrated given the topography and the location of the adjacent property, and that's certainly not something that was self-created. The neighboring properties were there before he bought the house. With that having been said, application for all necessary permits must be made within 5 business days for the existing sports court, and I don't believe at this time I'm going to make an additional request for evergreen screening.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted.
Thank you so much.
Would you break the machine?
It's tired.
So we'll be calling item 11, 225 Norcliffe.
I don't know why this is not showing up. They're both on. Okay.
Are we ready? Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rebecca Muse. I reside at 225 Norcliffe Drive, and this is my son, Cameron Muse. We are seeking approval for an existing structure, a patio, but I believe the retaining wall as well as the piers are what is against the ordinance and the fact that it is in the side rear yard. It is our belief that the structure does not have a negative view, does not have a negative effect in the community, as it cannot be seen by my neighbors. It is situated on the north side of our home, which is next to the bedroom of my neighbor. However, we have screened it so that it doesn't, so that it is not exposed to my neighbor. Unfortunately, we were not aware that we needed a zoning approval because the way that the HOA bylaws were presented to us. In addition to the fact that we used a landscape company that does landscaping for all of the homes in that community, as well as the property management, the HOA. So we're seeking approval to keep the structure, and our apologies that we didn't go through the right avenue initially.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Okay, I'd like to open this up to the public. Is there anyone would like to speak on this item? So I'll close the public hearing. We do have a couple of letters of opposition in the packet that everybody, I would assume, has reviewed. So any questions of the applicant about the structure, the location, why this?
How long has the structure been in place?
Since June. We actually tried to, so on the adjacent side, more close to my neighbor's home, all of the trees were ruined by the 2 storms that we had last winter. They were the trees were really old anyway and really diseased and dead, so we were already planning to do it, but the storm just, yeah. Also, I did give this, I know you guys have a letter from the Sintners, and I did present this to them. I know in the letter it states that we had no communication with them, but we did, and even the landscape person talked to them because they had multiple questions. So the landscape company talked to them as well. What you see now is from inside of the patio, and the reason that we constructed it is because my son has no place to recreate there. The topography is very sloping. We have maybe a 3-foot behind our home, and we do have a deck, but because it has stairs, he's not able to access it. So that's really the reason that we put a seating area there.
So this is on the south side of your home, because my packet here, I don't really see where on your property.
Is it on the
Is
side?
it on the north side, the south side?
It is on the south side.
So in that open back corner area, right? Like where that pointer is?
It's right there, where the...
I'm sorry, I can't see that. Okay.
So it's on the side, not the back?
Yes, it's on the side rear, actually.
There is no back.
There's no back, there's no,
Well, there's that corner there.
There really is nothing there
Yeah.
to put.
That's what you're saying is the 3 feet.
Pardon?
You said
Yes.
3 feet in the back, okay.
Right where you have it is where the structure is.
Where the pointer is.
So it is on the side, but it's primarily in the rear of the home.
and how far is the edge of the structure to your property line approximately?
Pardon?
What's the distance between the edge of the structure to your?
Well, there's only maybe a 3-foot walkway between where my home is and that structure starts.
And then there's probably about another 2 feet between the structure and the property line.
You said how many feet?
About 3.
3 feet, okay. So
That's pretty close.
do you think, but is that 3 feet your property or the neighbor's property?
So then, so where I've built the structure is on our property. So we live in a condo development, which there's a net zero property line, what is it called? Zero lot line.
Right, okay.
Zero lot line. So actually, my neighbor doesn't have any property on that side.
So could you plant trees on the side? Because
There are trees there. We planted them, yes.
Okay, because the neighbor is saying that when she's looking out of her bathroom window, that she's looking right at the patio instead of the trees that were there. That's it, that's quote.
Well, we do have photographs of that area.
I see, so
that's,
okay.
yes. So yeah, that's her property where the 3 arborvitae and then you had the crimson, that's her, yeah.
Is that the patio?
Yes.
Where's the wall?
And that side, she has a 0 lot line.
And so as, you did not work with the homeowners association in this condominium complex?
Well, I did, I tried to. So the prior year, my neighbor put up a retaining wall, and I asked if that needed approval, and they told me, I have the letter as well. Would you like to?
No, I believe what you're saying, I just wanted to hear what
And
you have
it
to say.
says that common elements don't require approval, and side yards and backyards are considered common elements, so.
Yards and backyard.
Well, they don't require approval by the condo association.
Yeah.
I love the condo association. I worked with some homeowners that were first-time buyers in there. Did the construction. But you're right, there's 0 lot line. There's zip for dirt.
Right.
So,
I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure that I'm clear. So on this picture on the right, this little structure that we see kind of like coming off, that's your neighbor's house, right?
That's the bathroom.
That's the bathroom.
That's the bathroom.
You gotta get on your tippy toes to look out the window.
Well, because, so you have the plantings there, but it's going to take years, for that to fill in.
Well, originally, my neighbor was giving money towards that area to be developed.
Okay.
But when the community kind of saw what was going on, then she backed out of it. So we had to plant smaller trees.
What do you mean saw what was going on?
My neighbors didn't like the fact that I didn't get HOA approval first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I see. So you're saying originally she was in support, but then when she found out about the no approval, then she switched.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Do you know what the association would approve?
They won't approve anything.
So they would not approve of you putting anything there, because it seems as though you do have a reason for something.
Right.
And, the quality of the work is very nice. The only problem I see is that there's a wall there.
Well, we put the wall
I'm
there.
asking, what would the association approve?
Well, there's no other place in our yard to put a seating area for him.
Right, I understand that.
And if you see, it's at the end of our driveway. That's where we park his van. And so it acts as a barrier and a safety, the wall, the retaining wall does, in addition to the fact that that corner floods a lot. So that actually sits a little bit lower than the driveway. So we have to have something there to prevent the water from coming into that seating area so that it maintains its safety.
And actually, Patty, because we talked about this morning, but for the piers and retaining wall, they could have just put the patio there without any approval and have the use. So the use isn't the issue. You put the patio there, it's just
But, yeah.
That's what I was trying to point out, is that it's really the piers and the wall, right?
Right.
Right, that needs to,
Which I would perceive to be a safety issue.
right,
Yeah,
she would
absolutely.
definitely.
A positive
safety issue.
positive safety
Yeah,
issue.
it's a,
I mean, whether the topography in this community is, the only place it's flat is about where that driveway is.
Yeah, it's true.
And everything else, I mean, a lot of these are 2-story with walkouts and
Yes.
they're just, it's, yeah.
it's challenging to have any.
Oh, it was fun to watch them try and develop it. But if you didn't have the patio, you would actually have a safety hazard.
Yes,
without,
without the walls.
without the wall. And the pier is just a decorative post at the end.
Well, let me ask you
And
this.
it's landscape, too. I mean, it's got,
You had mentioned that you initially had a kind of an agreement with your adjacent neighbor to put up the screening, and then that fell apart. And I assume that budget-wise, that's why you went with something smaller, or was that with smaller arborvitaes?
Yes.
Is there any way to supplement that a little bit more?
We'd be happy to. We'd be happy to do anything.
willing to do that?
Yes. Yeah, because
And
candidly,
for
I mean,
what it works, you can see 1, 2, 3 trees.
I don't know. She might have to just get all new ones because I am inclined to approve this, but I do understand why the neighbor could be opposed. So for me, these look like, I don't know, maybe 3 feet.
They're not. They're 7 feet.
These are 7 feet.
Yes. As I said, that the patio is sunken. It's not at the level of the
see.
drive.
Okay.
In addition to that, prior when we just had landscape there was a huge soil erosion problem.
Sure.
So it kind of it helps us out in many ways.
and I would just say, if you buy into a development like this, you're going to have stuff going on right next to your property.
Yeah, I mean, there's no.
They're
I know
fairly.
if I was selling the property, I'd like having that patio in the back.
All right, so I think we can come to a motion now. This has been very thoroughly vetted, analyzed. I think I'll do it again. I'll open this for public comment for a second time.
No.
Close public comment?
Yeah,
I
never
know
know.
we discussed it, so.
Oh, do we have a comment?
Do you have a comment? Okay.
Yeah, I didn't think.
Uh-oh.
I was actually trying to avoid getting up here. From the board's perspective.
Yeah, your name and address.
I'm sorry. I'm Howard Artesian. I'm the Vice President Secretary of the board. The problem that the board sees is that if we agree to this, then anybody else can come in and put side lot, structures up and walls up. I understand that the patio can be done according to the ordinances without any kind of approval. The issue comes in with the wall. And honestly, I don't see where the wall serves any purpose other than a decorative piece. However, in the letter that was sent by the board, it does say that if you absolutely are going to approve that you need to have enough screening, which was being brought up. And what's there now is just not sufficient. And even on the roadside, 2 of the trees that are blocking it are the type that will drop the leaves in the wintertime, and you'll see that wall directly from the street. And our main concern is setting a precedent in that area, in that subdivision, I should say, by allowing that wall not being properly screened, in that particular area. We're not approving it, but if you approve it, I would like it to be with the contingency that, number one, there's sufficient evergreen type trees that are covering it 100 all the time during the entire year. And another concern that I personally have is when she moves out and the next person moves in, and there's not something in writing that the next person moving in knows that they have to maintain that greenery, they could come back and say, I'm cutting it all down and just leaving it the way it is with the patio furniture and everything showing. So my suggestion was that there be a deed restriction so the next person coming in would see this regardless of what they thought or didn't think, and it takes the burden away from the association board to have to enforce the tree portion of it. That's just my suggestion.
Well, the screening is something that's required all the time, regardless of, and correct me if I'm wrong, but regardless of who owns the home or the condo. So that would have to be screened even if someone moved in after.
Okay.
Am I correct? If it's a condition of the approval, right?
That's correct. And should the board seek to approve this, it's subject to the screening that you're going to specify. And should there then be the trees that have been removed or they die and they're not replaced, you would contact the township. The township would review the records and find that in 2023 that it was approved, but there was screening that was required. And they would have to, regardless of what ownership, they'd be required to replace those.
Okay, yeah, I was just suggesting the other because I didn't want a future board to have to go through a battle with a new owner.
We don't have the authority to add deed restrictions.
Okay, that's fine.
And I'll just address too, because since we had all these letters that, about precedent, it doesn't necessarily, just if we were to approve it tonight, doesn't set precedent that the next person could do the same. I mean, each case is on its own merit. So that's also, and they would have to make a case. And this is what,
Okay.
this applicant is doing, is making a case for a variance.
I mean, that was the main concern of the board, that by us approving it, that it's going to set a precedent. How are we going to, turn it down for somebody else? So at least if you're the one that's approving it, then the next person's got to come to you for that
Correct.
approval.
And
then we walk away with clean hands. How's that?
Yeah, and we give that guidance to everyone as every case stands on its own merits, because people come in and say, well, there's other sheds or whatever, and every, property's unique, every,
Sure.
we balance.
And every circumstance is totally unique, too. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else would like to speak on this?
I'll be brief. My name's Linda Finkel, and I happen to be the president of the board, and our treasurer is here as well. I just wanted to say that...
Your address?
241 Norcliffe.
Thank you so much.
I think that, I know I saw in here our bylaw book, and it's very, very clear that you have to get permission to do this. And not only that, but apparently the landscaper who built this first gave her, we understand, a drawing of this thing, and she didn't put it, and it was to be given with the form, the alt-mod form that she was supposed to have given. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this item? So I'll close the public hearing. And any response that the applicant would like to provide?
Yes, if I just may iterate that the wall is a safety issue. I know that someone else outside of my home may not feel that it is, but I am responsible for the care of my son, and I do view it as a safety issue.
Okay.
You did mention earlier that you're open to supplementing landscaping.
Of course. I have no problem doing that.
Okay, thank you.
So any other discussion or a motion based on the healthy analysis that we've applied?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make a motion with regard to the dual request at 225 Norcliffe, the request for dimensional variance, request for a permission request. I'm going to start with the permission request. I'm going to move that the permission request be approved as submitted based on the information presented. The applicant did demonstrate all of the standards compliance with section 42-7.6 standards. And I'm going to cite item 5, the accessory structure shall not be objectionable to nearby residents for reasons of limiting or creating noise or fumes. It will not limit light to the property, and it will not create a danger to public safety. With that having been said, I'm also going to move that the dimensional variance be approved as submitted based on the information presented. The applicant did demonstrate all of the standards for practical difficulty. Compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because it was originally designed for properties that were not zero lot line condominium developments. There is no injustice to the adjoining neighbors by reason of its location. In fact, it actually enhances value to this property and to the adjoining neighbors. Unique circumstances of the property have been demonstrated given the need for safety and the topography of the property, none of which is self-created. I take that back. The topography is certainly not self-created. With that having been said, application for all necessary permits must be made within 5 days for the existing wall and piers, and we are going to request some additional evergreen screening on the side that faces the windows that we see in this picture. I'm not sure if that's north, south, east, or west. I think it's
It's
north. Is it south? Okay, that
Yes.
goes to show you what I know.
We make it year-round screening?
Pardon?
Year-round screening?
Well, he said
I
evergreen.
said evergreen screening. I
Okay,
don't know that evergreen screening is anything but.
That's the evergreen part. Thanks.
Yeah, it's fine.
Continuous evergreen screen.
Continuous. Support. That would be a tree that grows.
And healthy. So I have a motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, request is granted.
Thank you so much.
Calling item 12, 23400 West 14 Mile.
Good evening. Brian Ritter, 6800 Franklin Road, speaking on behalf of the Karajas at 23400 14 Mile Road. We are simply seeking permission to install a 9x9 14-foot shed on an existing pad. This drawing right here indicates that it's roughly 20 feet from the property line. It's been determined that it's on the side lot, that it is approximately 25 feet to the rear, and well within Township ordinance. So we're just simply asking permission to erect a shed. This is the photo of, short of the potted plants and the aged roof, but if you look at views of the home, which are there as well, you'll see that it is well screened. It's an extremely mature space. There are other photos that would indicate that you can't even see, so you can see the pad behind the two chairs to the upper left, and you can see that it's extremely mature. The existing pad is to the right, which is facing south towards 14 Mile. You can't see it from the sidewalk, you can't see it from the street. There are photographs and other things. The client has established landscaping, which you can see to the right, where the umbrella is in the upper left, with green giant arborvitaes, which will grow up. The adjoining neighbor can't build behind the property, and you can't even see their home. So we're simply seeking permission to build on an existing pad.
So Mr. Ritter, where are the discussions with the homeowner association? We've got an email from Mr. Jim Trask saying that thought they were going well. There seems to be some conflict with them about the location of the shed, and did those discussions result in anything? Can you share any updated information with us?
Absolutely, I can. Those discussions melted down in the original discussion. And I'm not sure if this zoning board knows and understands that I serve on Wing Lake Farms, Inc., in the same position that Mr. Trask does. And I just want to be perfectly clear. I had nothing to do with the placement of the pad or the installation or anything. That was done with the installation of the pool. The homeowner, which I've known for several years, came back to me and said, we need to do something that will look like our home and match our home. The home itself was written up in Our magazine in 2015. The article was called Heavy Lifting. It was in November's, and we were the, let's say I just worked on the decorations and the manufacture of the furniture and special features of the home itself. So they came back to me after these things were in place and asked me to install this. I spoke with Mr. Trask. Mr. Trask, well, the initial application was made after the pad was put in and everything else. Again, I had nothing to do with that. And I'm assuming that when the pad was installed, it was with the intent that it was well within zoning variance and local ordinances, which it is. I took the original design to the Planning Commission.
Where is that? Can you read that?
They didn't seem to have a problem with it. I didn't know that there was an issue with the pad location or anything along that line. In checking with the Planning Commission, and we presented. Mr. Trask and I had a conversation. He asked that we simply move it, and
Wait, I'm sorry, he asked that what?
that we simply move it.
Move it, okay.
Yes. And when I asked him for open discussion regarding the matter, he said, no, we will, we will file litigation, we will, so the
Yeah, I think
conversation
you answered-
the conversation kind of shut down right from the
We get the
get-go.
picture. I feel you answered the question.
They had a site visit.
Yep, I get the picture.
And, his whole thing is that.
So we have, some- I'm sure.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll
We can hear,
reiterate
I'll open
this,
for
and I
public
know that
comment.
there was a letter
I
written.
just wanted to know
Yeah.
if there's any update.
No,
because of the email.
we had discussions. They melted down right from the get-go. They melted down right on the second conversation that we had. After a site review, there were questions that I asked Mr. Trask if there was a negative impact on the community, what moving it 5 feet forward would be, moving it 5 feet forward
We'll
would
get those from the public
simply-
comment. So
Okay.
you answered the question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, any other questions from the board? All right, so we'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone here that would like to speak on this matter?
Guess who I am. So my name is Jim Trask, and I live at 7430 Old Mill, corner of Old Mill and 14 Mile in Bloomfield, Berkshire's subdivision. I'm the chair of the building committee, and I'm a member of the board, and I'm here on behalf of the Neighborhood Association, and I'm here unfortunately to oppose this application. And I actually did send a second letter late on Thursday. I don't know whether it got it. It's not in the public packet. I don't know whether it's in your.
We have it on our desk.
It's in your desk. Okay, so I'm here to oppose this, unfortunately, because we really are intent upon enforcing our 30-foot side yard setback for all buildings, sheds or residential structures. And we've done that consistently throughout the neighborhood. We have had a very good experience through the neighborhood of working with neighbors. Sometimes they come and talk to us about their building plans in advance, sometimes they don't, but we almost always reach an agreement on how to move forward. Unfortunately, in this case, we were not. I think we're not able to. I think it's a fairly simple matter to locate this shed 5 feet further on into the yard. There's about 135 feet between the house and the property line at that point, 250 feet total width of the lot. It's a beautiful lot, it's a beautiful house. The Crushes have done a marvelous job with the property, but we really think this needs to be 30 feet from the side lot line. And I really don't like to be here opposing this. I really like to come in and support our property owners. The last time I was here opposing something was over 4 years ago. So, can I answer any questions?
Any questions? Okay, thank you. Mr. Trask. Anyone else would like to speak on this item? So I'll close public hearing, bring it back, see if the applicant has any further comment.
So again, I had nothing to do with the original placement of the pad. It was done during the pool construction and everything else.
while Mr. Trask has advised that there might be 135 feet between the home and the lot line, the fence itself is 20 feet inside the lot line. The pad, the back of the rear of the pad is 5 feet inside that, making it 25 feet. So well inside of any zoning variance allowed with regard to this property. And with the addition of the pool, it just simply takes up green space. There's a very unique structure to the home where the rear of the property, while it might be large, the actual rear of the property is not a visible property from the family room, the kitchen, the bedrooms, and things like that. These folks have grandchildren which come to their home, one of the reasons that they built this, and they're simply looking to place this in a position that they can also utilize green space. And pulling it 5 foot farther from the extremely mature tree line would just make it more visible to anybody walking by. And if you're walking by, you're a trespasser.
So look, I mean, it's been said, and I guess I'll just say it again, we don't enforce deed restrictions, but even if we approve it, is it worth it for the homeowner that they're gonna have litigation for violating the deed restriction? I mean, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there.
I just don't, you know, we live in a society where we want to protect our children and our grandchildren, and we want to be able to utilize our lawns and everything else. Taking up lawn space when there's the net negative impact on moving that 5 foot forward, the angle from the property.
I guess all I'm getting at is if I approve it, I just don't want your homeowner to be upset when they get a lawsuit, right? Don't blame us.
I mean, you know, if they slap us with a lawsuit, then we'll deal with that accordingly.
I'm trying to understand, other than the fact that the slab is already there, if the slab was not there, would we approve it? And my answer is no. There's plenty of dirt to place this on. You could add 5 more feet to the existing concrete and you're all set. You just can't put the shed inside the setback. And I think there's a I can do it and I wanna, and there's an I can do it but I want to be a good neighbor part. And I'm thinking that there are solutions to this, and candidly, if there was a definition of self-created, this would be it.
But we're only approving it. It's not violating the township setback.
No.
We're only approving it as a use.
We're approving the location.
I agree.
Because it requires, because it's a permission request.
Yeah, it's not about the location, because he's within our setbacks. Our setbacks are 16 feet. He has it 25 feet.
The deed restrictions are 30.
Are 30, yeah, but we're not the, we're not the HOA. We're not here to enforce their deed. I mean, look, if you're prepared to make a motion, then by all means.
Well, I was looking at dimensional variance. This is a permission request.
Yeah, this is a permission request.
Yeah, this is not
Just please be advised, I asked Mr. Trask, okay? So I sit in the same position that he does on Wing Lake Farms, and I asked Mr. Trask to take this to his board. We, as Wing Lake Farms, have done that in the past, and we've represented that. And it was with regard to 6091 Franklin Road. And I stood here and commented on behalf of that homeowner in favor. We're asking for a simple 5 foot in accordance with their variance.
I'm
It's
inclined
not
to
a,
approve it. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I mean,
well,
we've made viable attempts to negotiate.
you made a good case, sir.
Based on the existing pad placement.
The location of the accessory structure is not going to hinder adjacent use.
And it's screened, right?
It's fully, you can't see it from anywhere. There are photographs showing from 14 Mile that you can't see it.
Okay, you going to make a motion?
No, you do it.
Me?
I was asking you a question because I couldn't hear what you were saying.
Oh, I'd be happy to make a motion.
What you were
Right.
saying.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to the permission request at 23400 West 14 Mile Road, which is a permission request, I'm going to move that the request be approved as submitted based on the information presented. The applicant has demonstrated compliance with Section 42-7.6 standards. The accessory structure will not hinder or discourage the adjacent use of property due to its location on the property.
Yep.
In the event this motion passes, permits must be made within all necessary permits must be made within 1 year, and all permits must be obtained prior to construction. Additional evergreen screening, may be required to screen the shed from public view and must meet or exceed the height of that structure at the time of planting.
Support. Motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted.
Thank you very much.
I kept thinking.
Which we don't have to follow. Calling item 13377 Kendry.
Good evening. I'm Mark Weisberg, and this is Carolyn Krieger. We're the homeowners at 377 Kendry. We're requesting, there's a couple of items that are on the description. I just want to make some changes to it. One of the items, it says it's a 6-foot height fence. It's only 64 inch, so it's a little less than the 6 foot, and a copy of the actual panel is attached that has the actual dimensions. Also to the existing, there's a double berm. The existing second berm is only 36 inches high. It's not 4 foot.
So what's the different distance from the bottom of the berm to the top of the fence?
So, well, from the bottom berm or from ground level? So, because one of the issues that I ran into in talking to the building department was that they said that we had to go from ground level
yep.
up. So if we go from ground level up, we're at 3 foot, which is where the arborvitaes are located there, and then 64 inches on top of that. So it would be 8.5 feet would be the total from the ground.
Okay.
And you can see that there is an existing cyclone fence there, and that fence is a 48-inch fence that is already on top of the existing. It's actually higher than the existing berm.
Got it.
And I believe that that fence is also on our property. It runs the entire back. I had a survey done, and on the survey, it shows that that cyclone fence is on our property. So that cyclone fence itself is just a little over 8 foot from the existing ground.
Okay. Anything else you want to, any questions from the board?
I guess just the need for the 6 feet.
The alternative would be is to, if we were to replace, well, first of all, there's not a 4-foot fence of what we picked. We picked out a cedar fence that had a panel that goes through the top that's clear. So when, you kind of look at that versus a solid fence, this is actually prettier. So it just, that additional about 12 inches on top just makes it look prettier than it being a solid
Kind of got a
fence.
decorative element.
Yeah, it's a little more decorative, looks a little nicer.
Any other questions?
And that's only on the top part of the berm there. When the other picture that goes off, which it's to the right hand, which would actually go south, the fence line actually drops down from that, where that is. I don't see that. Yeah, you can see on my picture on top where the top is on the top of the berm, and then it comes down to go to the level of the.
Yeah, so your picture is that, is the left side there, it's the highest point.
Yes,
and then
that's
it
the
drops.
highest point.
Yep.
And that's what we showed you a picture of there on the with the panel that's up there.
Okay.
It's not existing. I already had somebody come by and said, you got to take your fence down. I said, it's not permanently installed. It's only just setting up there for pictures.
Posing. The fence is posing.
It's posing, yes.
It's a poser. It's
Yeah,
a poser.
there's a few other posing pictures for the fence as well, but they're not up there.
Any other questions? So open this to a public hearing. Anyone like to comment on this item? Close public hearing, bring it back to the board. Additional questions or motion?
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion with regard to the appeal at 377 Kendry. For the height variance, I move the variance be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate all standards for practical difficulty because compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome due to the topography of the area there. There's no injustice to adjoining neighbors by reason that it does provide screening, and the HOA is supporting it. Unique circumstances with the property have been demonstrated, given that this is quite a sloped area and it is not self-created. So if approved, the motion must include application for all necessary permits to be made within 1 year, and all permits must be obtained prior to construction. I'm going to add additional evergreen plantings may be required to screen the fence from public view and must meet or exceed the height of the fence at the time of planning.
Support. Motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted.
Thank you very much.
Item 14, 1541 Squirrel.
Hi, my name's Enver Lone. I live at 1541 and requesting for a shed.
Another shed.
Thank you for that succinct presentation.
Thank you.
Any questions from the board?
That's a shed, sir.
The only question is is it screened from all public view?
It's screened at the back and at the front where the school road is. Need some more evergreen to put in there.
Oh, there needs to be more, you said?
Yeah, some more facing the school road.
Oh, okay.
It's quite a long way from school road. I can see the new building there, and that is, we see them. I mean, it's sinking.
So do you have any background on the color scheme that you selected?
Yeah.
So you have a blue roof,
No,
are you committed to that color
no,
scheme?
this was already made and come from
So
a
it's
different state.
prefabricated, yeah.
Yeah, it came in a different state, and my wife liked the color, and it's a steel roof.
So it's a steel roof?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, so no problem with, it's a 30-year warranty on that.
30-year warranty, okay.
Yeah. It's treated wood and everything.
It's very visible.
Oh, it's visible from the front, from the back of our school road, but I got trees covering that. This is a close-up,
All right, we'll see if anyone comments on that. So.
Yeah, you can't see it. If you see it, it's got trees. If you have the road, uses trees on the side.
Okay.
You can't see them on the picture here, but there is trees there, and there's a gap where I could put some more evergreen.
Any other questions from the board? So I'll open this to the public. Anyone like to comment on this item? Close public hearing then. Bring it back to the board. It just the color to me seems to. I don't know. Maybe it's.
That's the latest color, sir.
What's that? Yeah, I know.
That's the latest.
I'm out of step with the latest.
No was I.
Shed colors.
Well, there you go.
I'm sorry. I'm out of step with that.
No, don't be sorry, sir. You're welcome to have a look at it. You can sleep in there too.
What's that?
You can sleep in there too.
No. That'd be like a gift I couldn't accept.
Now we gotta get
That would be a priceless gift. Yeah, I just.
You're welcome.
Couldn't accept that priceless gift.
Well, I'm going to make a motion.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm just going to go for it. I'd like to make a motion to approve the permission request in regards to the appeal at 1541 Squirrel Road for the accessory structure of an existing shed. I move that the request be approved as submitted. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate compliance with Section 42-7.6 standards. Now listen to this. The location of the accessory structure will not hinder or discourage the adjacent use of the property. Because the applicant is going to fill in additional screening on this particular shed for the gap so that it will be screened from public view.
Yes.
With that, if the motion is approved, applications for all necessary permits must be made within 5 business days for the existing shed. Additional evergreen plantings are required to screen the shed from view.
Thank you.
Can I please, it has to, what about the height of the plantings?
Should meet or exceed the height.
The plantings, the screening should meet the height or exceed the height of the shed at the time of planting.
To be above the blue roof.
Yeah, sure. Will do.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I have a motion?
Support.
I motion support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, your request
Thank you
is
very
granted.
much.
Enjoy your
Appreciate
shed.
it. God bless you.
Okay. Item 15, 5895 Burnham Road.
Hi, Anthony, Sapphire Luxury Homes and Landscaping.
So could you give us a succinct summary of the request?
Sure. We are installing an Equinox pergola on the rear yard, in the rear yard, and we met all conditions except proximity to the structure. So it's off of the setback, and it's screened, and the height is below by 3 feet. So it's just, I guess, just a matter of formality to try to get this approved, because we've gotten these approved in the past, and these do get approved typically.
Is it screened from public view?
It's in, first of all, it's in the rear, and then you have, it's surrounded by, with our landscape package, we have it surrounded on both sides, and then you have large existing trees on both property lines.
They're evergreen trees on the property lines?
Some of them are, yes.
So is it going to be screened from public view?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'll open the public hearing. Does anyone here like to comment on this item? Close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for discussion.
I can make a motion.
Okay.
In regard to the appeal at 5895 Burnham Road, for the accessory structure pergola, I move the request be approved and submitted. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate compliance with section 42-7.6 standards. Because the building or structure will be located in an area that meets all the requirements for setbacks, it's not too high, and it won't be visible by the neighbors based on screening. If this is approved, all applications for necessary permits must be made within 1 year and obtained prior to construction, and additional evergreen screenings may be required along the property lines to screen the pergola from public view 12 months out of the year. Support.
Meet or exceed the height?
Meet or exceed the height of the pergola.
So,
At the time of planting?
Yes.
Yes.
Support. Did we get all that in the record?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
All in favor?
So I have a motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted.
Thank you.
So calling the next item, 432 Hunter Mast Court.
Hello, my name is Jacob Lubig with Ventures Design and Build. Address is 29454 Haas Road in Wixom, Michigan. Today we're requesting a dimensional variance to encroach 3 feet into the 35-foot rear yard setback to construct a covered patio structure. The structure is going to include a kitchenette and a fireplace within it. We believe that we do have a practical difficulty given that the existing backyard space is very shallow relative to the neighbors' properties. The home relative to the adjacent neighbors east and west is set back pretty far from the street, giving them a very shallow and less buildable space. So yeah, the neighbors will be able to easily construct a 20 by 20 covered patio in their yards. We're just a little limited on space. You can see that there's pretty good screening around the perimeter of the yard. I know accessory structures are required a 16-foot setback But since this is attached to the home, it's required to have 35 feet. So I think it would follow all the bases for an accessory structure. But we chose to have more open space to be good neighbors because it is such a small lot as opposed to having a detached accessory structure. We always tell our Bloomfield clients to budget for screening if necessary, so they're ready if additional is needed.
Yeah, because there's a comment in one of the letters that says that the evergreen screening that's there is on the neighbor's property, not on your client's property.
There's some that's on the client's property, and there's some, like you'd see on the south side, the big ones are on the neighbor's property.
But those are deciduous, aren't they? The ones that are on your client's property? That's not an evergreen, is it? What is that?
Yeah, those are, I think those are.
I think those are leaves.
Those ugly
Do you know
shrubs I
what
have in
is
front of
that? Do you know what species that is?
I don't know specifically. I can say.
Candidly, their screening's gonna have to be on your client's property.
Okay.
So that screening is not sufficient. The arborvitaes that are on the neighbors is not gonna classify as screening for your kitchenette.
The only reason they're that height is because they cut them. If they let them grow, they'd get tall.
But I don't think that's evergreen.
Yeah, it is.
Unless it's holly.
It's the same ugly shrubs I have in front of my house.
But which are what? What are the ugly shrubs in front of your house?
I don't know, but they're green the whole year round.
I don't know. That doesn't look evergreen to me.
Are you qualified as an expert arborist, Bob? Can you
I'm a master
identify
gardener.
that plant there?
Do you know what they are?
I do not know what they are, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Well, we're going to make a condition that it be screened, so.
Okay.
Yep, and it's got to be 12 months out of the year, so if it's evergreen, you're good, so. All right, so I'll open this up to the public. Anyone like to speak on this item?
My name is Barbara Glotzober. I'm at 417 Steeplechase, and I believe the email you were looking at was from my husband and myself. First of all, I want to clarify that what you referred to as the screening on their property are forsythia bushes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
All right, okay.
And we've said everything we wanted to say in our email. We feel that the two backyards are so shallow and the houses are so close that that 3-foot variance can make a difference. That's your decision. However, you've also zeroed in on the arborvitae on our property. Now, we can tell you arborvitae by themselves don't shield sound. They'll shield the view, and that's why we planted them 25 years ago when we moved in. But if you require additional screening for implementations like this, it should be the requester's responsibility on their property.
Absolutely.
That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this item? I'll close the public hearing, bring back to the board for further discussion or a motion.
So I do just have one comment here. So even though, some people say 3 feet, it's no big deal, you have, 32 feet still. But to the comment that we just heard, part of why people love living in Bloomfield is because of the open spaces and the privacy. So having this outdoor, kitchenette and TV and all of this is implying, obviously, that you're going to be spending more time outside, which is fine, right? It's your property. You can use it as is. But it should not be to the detriment of the neighbor's use of their own property. So I guess what I'm getting at is, can you keep it within the 35 feet? Can you make it smaller?
Well, the other alternative was having a freestanding accessory structure, which would be allowed to be even closer to the property line. And the neighbors to the west as well, they have a pool. That causes a lot of sound as well. We've noticed when we've done these covered patios, like 20 by 20 space, especially when there's a fireplace, you want good clearances, you want space for furniture. And, you can make the same argument. Like if there was no covered patio there and it was just a flat patio structure and it was just people that like to be loud and hang out on their patio a lot, it wouldn't make much of a difference whether or not the structure is covered or not. It's the argument that I would make.
Yeah, and that's the way I kind of look at it is we've, over the years, there's more and more outdoor living space. It's a reason to live in Bloomfield Township. We've seen kitchenettes, TVs. People enjoy outdoor space, so I don't think the noise part of it's any different than, normal residential use.
But I understand that if it wasn't attached, you wouldn't be in this situation where we're, talking about it, but it is. And I wanted to know, is there anything that's preventing you from bringing it back to the 35 feet? I mean, what is that?
Again, as I said, we've done a lot of these. We found that 20 feet is the sweet spot for when we're looking for clearances to the fireplace structure and furniture that'll sit in there. We just don't want to compromise the design to make it cramped, and we just wanted to go with what we had designed originally. If we wanted to, so if we did want to do something freestanding, we'd be able to do the 20 feet. It would be closer to the property line. We think that this was a better alternative. It's more courtesy to the neighbors, giving more open space. I think it's a fair request. I think 3 feet's not too much. A lot of that is just the overhang that comes with the structure. So it's very close, but we want to.
I'm struggling with fair. We didn't want to change our plans. We've done them in the past. Those are all defenses for self-created, and I think an alternative needs to be provided.
It appears here that, so this is 21 by 26, and you keep talking about a 20-foot space. I mean, gaining approval, or would you like, is your client able to compromise at all on the space?
One thing I would ask, though, so when I applied for this, the kitchenette structure and the fireplace, it all fell into a dimensional variance. I thought that some of it might have to be for accessory structure permission request. So if we moved it back where it was 35 feet from the lot line, would a variance even be required at all, is what I'm asking.
Not if it's immediately adjacent or rear to the home on part of the patio, those two would not necessarily require a variance.
The variance is the encroachment into the setback.
3 feet. Correct. Yeah, so if you have it at
So if you
35,
eliminate
then
the encroachment into the setback, you eliminate the variance.
then you
For
don't
sure.
need permission.
But I
from
did say
us.
there is a practical difficulty given that the house is just located so far back. It's a unique situation compared to neighboring lots.
Is that a new build?
No, it's been there for a while. If you look at the house to the east, they could easily put something like that in, have, 60
35
feet. But just we're struggling to get that 35 feet. The neighbors to the left, they have a sports court, they got a pool that goes pretty close to their property line.
They have a different lot.
Yeah.
They
So
made
like
it work.
our situation is unique because it's got a unique shape based on the court, and that's why I think it has to be set back so far, which is limiting their space to enjoy
It's
their
a true-
backyard.
It's a true statement. Your front yard setback is.
So that's an unusual shape.
The front yard setback forces pushing the house back because you can't use the setback based on the left side. You have to use it based on where the house is going to be, and that's obviously much shorter. That, in doing so, eliminates or reduces the size of your backyard. I can see that.
By at least 3 feet.
Oh, I would argue more than 3 feet.
Well, that's my point. So I don't have a problem with the
All right.
size of the variance.
But you can't make a motion.
I know I can't.
Have we done?
I'm just telling you how I feel.
Did we do public comment?
Because we're discussing it, right? We can,
Did we do public comment?
what's
I don't
that?
think- Oh, yeah, we did.
Did we? I couldn't remember.
No.
I'm slightly struggling with, I know it's a shallow lot, but that's also, which makes it possibly a hindrance to the adjacent neighbor. I mean, when you have a shallow lot, I understand the hardship on the homeowner, the applicant, but then it creates a situation for the adjacent neighbor. And I know we're only talking 3 feet, but you can look at only 3 feet different ways.
And that's where I make the point that if it was attached, which would be allowed, so it's almost a better alternative to have it attached and go for a dimensional variance as opposed to accessory structure permission request, just to be more courteous to the neighbors.
And that's the way I look at it.
So you're trying to keep it as far away from them as you can.
As far away while still having adequate space on the
space.
inside.
The space that they want.
Exactly.
The difference also would be the roof type, because a pergola is different than a covered porch roof. I think it would be a different design.
Yeah, I think that's a very important point, actually.
But what was that point? I missed it.
So he keeps saying like, oh, you know, we can just make it only 16 feet away. But the truth is, you're not going to put a kitchenette in the middle of your backyard. It's going to be
We've done plenty of like freestanding pavilion structures that do have roofs on them. It's like walkways out to them. People actually, like when we do pools, like people like them as like forms like pool houses and stuff.
We've approved those. I mean,
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think we can make a motion. Put something on the table to discuss.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you're going to be happy with it, but I can do it.
You know, that's just the way life is. You're not going to
Okay.
be happy with every.
So this is number 16, correct?
I won't take it.
Yes.
Okay, so with regard to the appeal at 432 Hunt Master Court, for the dimensional variance, I'm going to move that it be denied as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant did not demonstrate standards for practical difficulty. Compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would not be unduly burdensome because of the fact that, I mean, frankly, they can make it smaller. There would be injustice to the adjoining neighbors by reason of the fact that it's encroaching within the setback, and we've heard comments from the neighbor about noise nuisance. There is no unique circumstance with the property that has been given, and it is self-created due to the fact that this is going to be a newly built structure and could be redesigned to fit within the setbacks.
Support.
So I have a motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I'm opposed. Your motion is denied.
Thank you. Just to be clear though, so if I were to apply for it within 35 feet, I would not need to come back and see you guys.
Nope.
With the kitchenette, with the fireplace structure. So just like
As long as it has the same roof line.
same roof line?
House.
Okay. That's no problem. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you. Calling the next item.
That's 17. It's my favorite one.
Item 17 has been
that's
postponed mercifully.
17 is tabled.
18.
Calling 18. 2806 Turtle Grove.
Hello again, Anthony Sapphire, Luxury Homes and Landscaping. In a nutshell, we wouldn't have to be here other than the fact that this sunken spa is 12 inches above grade instead of 9. So,
Dig deeper.
Thank you for that succinct presentation. Any questions from the board?
Also in a secondary frontage.
Oh, that's, yeah.
It's a little bit more than just the.
He's got 2 front yards.
Yeah. I'll open this to the public. Anyone like to comment? Close public hearing. So we have the permission request and then the dimensional variance because of the secondary frontage.
I can do this one.
Okay?
Okay, so with regard to the appeal at 2806 Turtle Grove, I'll start first with the permission request for the hot tub. I'm going to move that it be approved as requested based on the information. The applicant did demonstrate compliance with section 42-7.6. The location of the accessory structure will not hinder or discourage the adjacent use of property due to the fact that it's within all of the township setbacks and due to the fact that it's going to be screened 12 months out of the year with evergreens. And with regard to the dimensional variance for this hot tub in the secondary frontage, I'm going to move that that also be approved as requested. Based on the information presented, the applicant demonstrated all standards for practical difficulty because compliance with the strict letter of the ordinance would be unduly burdensome because of the corner lot, the 2 frontages that this house sits on. There is no injustice to the adjoining neighbors by reason of the fact that, again, there's going to be evergreen screening and is within setbacks, aside from the fact that it's in the secondary frontage. Unique circumstances of the property have been demonstrated, again, given its location in the township, and this is not self-created due to the reasons stated above. You have to get all permits within 1 year, and the permit should be obtained prior to building anything. And as I mentioned before, but I'll reiterate that there have to be evergreen screenings 12 months out of the year and must meet or exceed the height of the hot tub at the time of planting.
Support.
Motion and support, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted.
Thank you very much.
So calling the last item on tonight's agenda, item 19, 4336 Spruce Hill Lane.
We made it last one. Thank you very much for having us.
We appreciate your patience and your
Still smiling.
yeah, your enthusiasm throughout the
Because
meeting.
we don't have our kids with us, so it's like a date night.
There we go. There we go.
We're glad we could give you some peace and quiet and entertainment at a very low cost.
Yeah, but it's my wife who's watching the kids.
Big gift this weekend for you.
So my name's Tina Murphy. I'm a homeowner at 4336 Spruce Hill Lane, along with my husband, Dan Murphy, also here with my father, Ron Denowith. First off, a little bit about our family, our property, and our neighborhood. We're an extremely active family. We enjoy being outdoors, running around, playing and watching sports. We have 2 little girls, aged 5 and 7, who currently play everything: soccer, basketball, swimming, volleyball, you name it. We think it's so important, especially in today's society, that we stress an active lifestyle to our girls. We bought our house in 2019, and we were thrilled. My late uncle, Bob Denowith, he built the house in the year 2000, and we just feel so lucky to be living in one of his homes. The one downside, though, the cul-de-sac that we live on, it does not have any sidewalks, and the driveway is very sloped. So this means we don't really have a safe area off of the street for learning to ride a bike, learning to rollerblade, or even working on basketball dribbling skills. So in May 2022, we constructed a 30-foot by 60-foot concrete slab that comes right up to our existing patio. It is not visible to the street, it does not have any permanent structures on it, and it is at least 16 feet from property lines. Back in 2022, when I called the township to ask if we needed a permit, I was told that if it did not have any permanent structures on it, that we did not. I've since learned that that is incorrect, and I apologize for that. This slab is primarily used for family-friendly recreational purposes, such as rollerblading with our daughters or playing pickleball with family, friends, and several of our neighbors, which appears to be at the heart of one neighbor's anonymous complaint today. That being said, we've asked many of our neighbors to provide letters of support that testify to the fact that our property improvements have not negatively impacted their living environment or violated the community's peace. We've provided 12 letters of support today from our neighbors, including all neighbors who directly surround our property. And now I'd like to hand it over to my dad for a few comments, because that's what dads do for their daughters, especially when they have been construction lawyers in the area for over 40 years.
But I'm not a municipal lawyer. Rod Denowith, 3400 Green Tree. My brother developed the site, built all but 2 of the homes. My brother was, as Mr. Henry indicated, my brother was a better ball player than I was. And it just, the house, when Bob developed the site, we talked about banning basketball hoops and things like that, because it's kind of a high-end area when he built it 25 years ago, and definitely we didn't want to do that. I think that because of the way the lot is sloped, this court is not at all visible from the street at all, and we've got support of all the neighbors. We'd really appreciate acceptance of what was done, and we apologize for not appearing for whatever approvals we needed in advance.
So there's no structures around the court. There's no basketball.
There will be
hoop,
no
is there?
structures.
There's no
okay?
net. There's no.
If they want to bring out a net, it's in the garage. They got to bring it out.
It would be temporary or portable. Okay.
Right. And if they want to put a basketball, it's temporary or portable. There will be no structures. That was my understanding, that as long as there were no structures, they didn't have to get a permit or get approvals. And there will be no structures. If there's a net, it's in the garage. If there's a basketball hoop, it'll be down on the ground or behind.
Is there any illumination? There's none, right?
No, there's no illumination.
So there'll be no night usage?
There'll be no night playing.
I knew your brother.
Patio that's next to it, but not.
But the court's
Okay.
not, okay.
Thank
So
you very
most of your
much.
activities are obviously done by the time nightfall comes around.
Of course, and yes, we had hoped that whoever had complained would have come and told us, and we are always happy to accommodate them. Typically we're out there after school until 7:30 in the summer, sometimes during the day, but it's never early in the morning or late at night.
All right, so I'll open this item up for public comment. Is anyone here who would like to speak? Give us your name and address.
I'm Steve Upenlotz, 7125 Wing Lake Road. My property, my family's property, abuts this Spruce Hill development. I've lived there all my life since 1965. I'm just asking, if somebody builds a sport court and doesn't ask for a permit, and then they don't even address the variance committee, what would you guys do? It says.
What we're doing now.
What we're doing now.
Okay, but if there's another one across the street, okay, which maybe that's why they thought it was okay to build it, that abuts my property 2 feet from the lot line. And it does have a basketball hoop, and there's a trampoline next to my property too, 5 feet from the fence
So
line.
we're talking about this variance request, so you can, if you want to take that, you can take that up with the...
It has to do with it because I brought this to the township, okay, and I brought this to Andrea Bibby, and there is a deed restriction of a 30-foot green belt
I'm sorry,
along the.
when you said brought this, what are you
I
referring to?
brought the fact that they built this sport court abutting my property.
Yeah, but we're...
No, not this one.
But that's all we're talking about tonight, is this one.
Well, maybe that's when the township ignored my request to do something about it, maybe that's why they thought it was okay to build a sport court.
Well, we don't enforce deed restrictions.
Well, no, you do.
We don't.
If somebody builds a sport court without permission on a permit, then you address it, right? Because then you have to have a variance. This was never addressed by the township.
That's why we're doing this.
And they said their lawyers wouldn't do anything about it. So I totally got ignored as a township resident.
That's a different property.
Yeah, so what's your
Yeah, I
comment
know,
about this
but
sports court?
But I don't have a problem with
Your
this one. I don't
property-
have a problem with you guys.
Okay.
I'm okay with it because they built it within the specifications.
Then let us finish this one.
All right. Yeah, well, I waited for 2 hours to talk to you about this, okay? So I think you can make me 5 minutes, okay? Because I came to the township and nothing was done for me. And this is the anniversary of my father's death last year. And they did it because they knew he was too ill to do something about it. I just, whatever, but
so hold on.
one right across the street.
So hold on.
Nothing's been done about it.
So hold on a second.
Okay.
So when we close the meeting, so...
I don't have a problem with these people. I just
Right.
want to call it to your attention.
Yeah, so we appreciate that, but I'd like you to stay after the meeting. Let's talk to Patty so that we can address your other concerns. So appreciate your patience, and is there anyone else like to speak? Please stay.
Don't
Yeah,
leave.
please don't leave. I don't want you.
Don't
So
leave.
I'm going to close the public hearing, bring it back to the board for discussion or a motion.
I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to approve the permission request in regards to the appeal at 4336 Spruce Hill Lane for the accessory structure of an existing sports court. I move that the request be approved as submitted. Based on the information presented, the applicant did demonstrate compliance with Section 42-7.6 standards because the use of the accessory structure is appropriate for the neighborhood, as sports courts are becoming much more popular, where people are spending a lot more time at home doing recreational activities. If the motion is approved, the application for all necessary permits must be made within 5 business days for the existing sports court. Additional evergreen plantings may be required to screen the existing sports court from view, so make sure that you look at that and see if it is actually fully screened. No illumination is permitted for the sports court, and the use of the existing sport court is limited to daytime hours only.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, your request is granted.
Thank you.
Very much.
So did you have anything else that you?
I was enjoying
You just enjoyed? Okay, good,
Which
cheap
is-
entertainment. All right, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so the meeting is closed.